Today's question is, why should I upgrade to new technology when my old machine is running just fine? Well, there's actually 3 reasons for doing that. One is the obvious one. It's an old machine. It's going to take more maintenance. It breaks down once in a while, and it's not all that accurate anymore. Okay, so the obvious thing is I need a new machine. That's 1. 2, you're busy. Shop's full. I'm getting a new job. I'm at capacity. I need more capacity. So I need to get a new press brake to either go along with the old machine or replace it with much better technology that's faster and more accurate and more productive. And the final reason is you can't afford not to. The world is so competitive. Your competitors are out there to take your business. And if you're not getting better, you're falling behind and you're going to lose market share. So let's talk a little bit about what you have today and why this is so important. First of all, the people in your shop, you have that old guy that has been on the press brake for umpteen years, and he's your veteran and he's really good, and all that stuff is up in his head. He knows what to do when you have a bad part, a bad tool, or a difficult part. When you go to replace him, that guy's not out there anymore. What you have today is a young guy who said, oh, I can run a press brake. What'd you do before? Well, I was at McDonald's, but I know I can do that. Well, if he's a smart kid, maybe he can pick it up, but if the old veteran is still around, it might take him 2 or 3 months to make him an operator. Let's talk about how things happen in your shop. You get a new job, you got a part print, you take it out to the operator and he looks at it and says, I think I can do this part. I think we can do it on this machine. Now what? Okay, well, now he's got to figure out what kind of tooling do I need? Well, let's go over to the tooling rack where all those old things are stacked up on top of each other. And you got them, they're all were cut into pieces because the last job needed a short piece and a long piece, so I cut all these tools in half. Maybe I can make them work, maybe I can't. Or I might end up having to buy new tooling to go along with this old machine. So I've got that. So now I've got tools, I've got the machine, I've got a print, now what? Okay, well, let's figure out how I'm going to bend this part. What's my first bend? What's my second bend? Now, if it's a simple part with 1 or 2 bends, that's easy to figure out. But what if it's a 5-bend part? Now I've got to figure out which one is my first bend, my second bend, and all of a sudden you realize the second bend is going to run into the third bend when I make this next bend. Okay, that's in that guy's head, the old craftsman. He knew how to do that. The new guy didn't have a clue. Trust me. And there's other things. What if he bends it apart and it's not 90 in the middle? It's good on the ends, but not in the middle. That's because he's got to shim that bottom die now. Okay, what does that mean? Well, in the old days, and this is still in many cases, you take shims and you stick it under the die itself to give a crown in the middle. So can we do about that? Today's technology, what can that do for me? Well, first of all, the machine itself, and we'll look at this machine right here, for example. This machine is probably twice as fast as that old technology press brake. Anywhere from 400 to 500 inches a minute, rapid traverse, both approach and return speed, and the forming speed's programmable. Your old machine does 1 speed only. Okay, so I can slow the machine down for that big heavy part. I can speed it up for that little bracket. So I can optimize the performance of the machine. So it's really fast, and the machine itself is incredibly accurate. It will repeat within plus or minus 2 10,000ths of an inch. What that means is the accuracy of the machine is now a non-factor in the accuracy of the part. So I've got speed, I've got accuracy, and I also have crowning. Underneath this plate here are 4 hydraulic cylinders. And that does the crowning on this press brake. I'm getting rid of those shims. They will never be around again. With 4 individual cylinders, I have the ability to crown in a reactive mode, not a passive mode. Most crowning devices are set up and they estimate what the crown should be. Is it going to be that? Maybe, maybe not. What if that heat of steel is different than the one that you bent last week? A reactive system changes when the load changes. I have individual sensors on each one of those cylinders. So for some reason, this sheet of steel is a little thinner on this side than that side. So the crowning has to be different on this end of the machine than that end of the machine. So now I've got an accurate machine, a fast machine, and something that gives you a good part. Now we've got that 5-bend part again. Now what? Well, my control over here is a smart control. and I can put that information in, and it will calculate a bend sequence for me, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or if I do the first one and then one on the end and then come back to the middle to close things up again, it will figure that out. In addition to that, or even before I even got to that point, I've got a tooling library and a smart control that can look at that print and understand that what tools are needed to make that part. I've taken that away from the operator. Essentially, I've taken that old craftsman that we had, and all of his knowledge now is in this control. So this control and performance in this machine gives you something that you've never had before and you can't afford to be without. At FabTech, we made this. It's a Jeep. That part took 25 bends. Imagine. If I was to do this in the traditional way, that would take about 3 to 4 hours to come up with a bend sequence to make this part. We did it in 14 minutes with our software.